Hello and welcome to another edition of another book review. This week I'll be reviewing The Cryptopians by Laura Shin. I'll talk very briefly about the author, go into an overview of what the book is about, talk about what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I'll be reading for next time. Laura Shin is a freelance journalist and author. She has written for Forbes as well as has done her own podcast as a podcast host, mostly covering the crypto community. This book, The Cryptopians, is really a full-length account of the organization created by Vitalik. I believe it's Guerin, as I may mispronounce the last name, but Vitalik, called Ethereum, the development of that blockchain or language over Bitcoin, and the organization that he founded after that, the Ethereum Foundation, and really the rise of the company from being relatively obscure to, I think the book ends in 2018, where the valuation is in the billions of dollars. So like a lot of business books, a lot of the quality of the book is going to be how much access the author gets. And I will say, to Laura Shin's credit, she does get a lot of access here. She basically interviews maybe the dozen or so people who are the players in this and really charts the personalities of everybody, the kind of back and forth cattiness of who did what and how much credit this person should get versus how much credit this person should get. And so I think she does a good job of portraying all of the important characters in the book, highlighting some of the problems within the industry, highlighting the problems between essentially what happened was, this idea was Vitalik's. There were developers came in to program in languages, and then once that happened, it kind of splintered, and there was a separation between the foundation, the original idea, the creating of the idea, and any kind of for-profit companies that they came after. So you have folks who were in it really for more of the utopian ideals of this technology, and then there were people who were in it to make money, and kind of the clashing of those two groups. And so you have this really, really small community of people, and they have kind of different goals and ideas of what this thing should be. And because the community is so small, everybody kind of knows everybody. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and she kind of touches on, in some places, the legal implications of this technology. She tries to explain what crypto is in general for lay people. I will say, on the con side, as someone who is a complete lay person as far as crypto, I think she did an okay job of explaining what crypto is. I think I had a harder time understanding the implications of something like Ethereum. I understand from a gambling standpoint, if you were trying to set up something like, the example I took away from the book is if you were trying to set up something like the March Madness, the men's March Madness, if you were trying to take bids, if you said, I have $5 I'll put out for anybody who wants to give me odds, you could kind of shop for the best odds. And that person, if they were taking in hundreds and hundreds of those bets, could shop for reinsurance if people had gotten closer and closer to having a perfect score or perfect bracket. So something like that made sense to me. The idea of smart contracts made sense. The example she gives is an example of you wanted to start up something like a ride-sharing service that was essentially a ride-sharing service that was a co-op that everybody participated in, and decisions were made based on the amount of either that you had or the amount of percentage of the business that you owned. That all made sense to me. Where it stopped making sense was if the product existed in the real world, how would you get licenses for these things? And how would you find customers, and how would you do all these things? That kind of fell apart for me, and part of the frustration that I had in the book was it was hard for me to see what benefit how this existed in the real world, because there's not really a lot of real world success stories as of 2018 when the book was written, as the timeline kind of ends. Maybe since that time there have been more things, but it does seem like more and more based on speculation than any kind of real world solving of problems. Something like voting was also a technology that made a lot of sense in this, but that's not really a multi-billion-dollar industry. And at one point, the Winklevoss twins, I think, are quoted as saying it's $1 trillion industry, and it's hard to really see that as far as it being legally $1 trillion industry. There may be vice stuff that you can do as far as gambling or drugs, but it wasn't really explained why, other than rampant speculation, the underlying technology made sense from a business standpoint. Remittance is also something that also gets brought up in terms of crypto, where it makes sense. But so sometimes she explains some things really well. Sometimes she doesn't explain things. I thought the writing in parts was a little clunky. So that was my issue. If you strictly want an explanation for what crypto is and the uses of crypto and how this technology can be used in the real world to change things and how it's going to be revolutionary, I felt that this book didn't really live up to that. If you want a book about Ethereum and the people who made Ethereum and who they were and who did what and the credit, who deserves credit and the personalities and like the multiple sexual harassment accusations in the book from people who are involved in this relatively small industry, then that's it. If you're looking for someone to explain to you, this is crypto, here's what you use it for, this is Ethereum, this is what you use it for, here's how it's going to change the world, I did not get that out of this book. So to me, it was very, very much like if you're someone who is in crypto already and want to learn more about a story in that industry, then this may speak to you. If you're someone who was looking for something more of a general audience book, I didn't think it really, for me at least, didn't really succeed. So that is Laura Shin, The Cryptopians. Next time I'm going to be reading Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. Until next time, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave me any comments below in the section below if you have read a book that you thought was more of a general audience book for people who are interested in learning about crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin, or Ethereum. Or if you have read this book and you felt very differently, please let me know. Love to hear your opinions. Until next time, bye.